The sirens hadn't started yet. The chaos hadn't erupted. And the school bus was still just a bright yellow shape rolling peacefully down Maplewood Lane. But none of that mattered to Karen. In her mind, disaster was seconds away. She gripped her steering wheel with both hands, knuckles pale, eyes narrowed, convinced she had spotted a crime in progress. And that crime was a school bus driving at what she called an outrageous, reckless, law-defying speed of at least 22 miles per hour. This is where everything began. But before the neighborhood would witness flashing blue lights, before a perfectly ordinary Monday morning would turn into a spectacle involving parents, officers, and a very frustrated bus driver, Karen did something she had been rehearsing in her head for years. She declared herself the unofficial safety supervisor of the block. And so she hit the gas. The bus continued calmly toward its next stop, its engine humming gently, children inside unaware that they were being tailed by a woman who believed she was acting heroically. Karen leaned forward as if closing the distance by sheer willpower. "Not on my watch," she muttered. "Not my neighborhood. Not my rules." She held her phone up with one hand, recording a shaky video that would later become infamous. "This bus is breaking the speed limit," she yelled to no one. "I have proof!" Meanwhile, the bus driver, Mr. Daniels, simply checked his mirrors once, saw a familiar-looking SUV trailing him unusually close, and sighed. He'd dealt with morning traffic, broken stop signs, and even a goat that once escaped from a backyard. But nothing, truly nothing, prepared him for Karen. As the bus slowed for a turn, Karen slowed too, dramatically, theatrically, like she was in a high-stakes chase scene, only she understood. She honked once, then again, furious that the bus refused to acknowledge her self-appointed authority. Parents waiting at the next stop looked up in confusion as the spectacle approached. The bus was normal. The SUV behind it looked like it was preparing for a NASCAR pit maneuver. Karen rolled down her window and stuck her arm out. "You're going too fast!" she screamed across the neighborhood, startling a dog, 3 parents, and at least 1 toddler. Mr. Daniels closed his eyes a moment. "Oh boy," he whispered. "Not her again." And this was the moment, the spark, that would lead to police lights, confusion, and an ending Karen never saw coming. Little did anyone know that Karen's escalating obsession was only minutes away from drawing law enforcement into the scene. What began as a quiet morning commute was about to explode into a neighborhood showdown none of them would forget. By the time the bus reached Pinecrest Circle, Karen had transformed from a concerned neighbor into a full-blown, self-proclaimed vigilante. The shaky recording on her phone continued as she narrated wildly, ignoring every rule of safe driving while accusing the bus of breaking them. "Look at this! Look at this!" she shouted, tilting her phone dangerously close to her own face, speeding through a family neighborhood. Children at risk. I knew it. The irony that she was filming while tailgating a school bus was lost on her. Inside the bus, Mr. Daniels kept his hand steady on the wheel. He had driven this exact route for 12 years. He knew every bump in the road, every stop, every kid by name. And he knew exactly how fast he was going. 17 miles per hour. The limit in the neighborhood was 25. Still, Karen's SUV darted and weaved behind him like she was preparing for a pit stop at the Daytona 500. At the next stop, 3 kids climbed aboard, glancing nervously at the woman leaning halfway out her window behind them. A parent approached Mr. Daniels and gestured discreetly. "Is that Karen?" Mr. Daniels kept his voice low. "I'm afraid so." The parent raised their eyebrows. "Should we, I don't know, call someone?" Before either of them could do anything, Karen slammed her door shut, gunned the engine, and made a dramatic 3-point turn to continue following the bus as it looped around the cul-de-sac. She rolled down her window again and projected her voice with the confidence of someone deputized only in her imagination. "You're endangering children," she barked at the bus. "I will be reporting this." A few parents exchanged looks. One mom pulled out her phone. "Oh, I'm recording this. She's lost it." The bus continued toward the exit of the neighborhood, where the road opened up. That was the moment. Karen decided this was her chance to catch the bus in the act. She floored the gas, swung wide around the corner, and sped up to pull alongside the bus. But she misjudged everything. Suddenly her SUV swerved a little too far. Her tires squealed. She overcorrected. The vehicle jerked back into her lane, narrowly, avoiding a mailbox. And that's when the flash of red and blue appeared behind her. A police cruiser. Officer Grant had seen plenty of strange calls during morning patrol, but watching a frantic SUV chase a school bus while the driver screamed at it was definitely a first. Karen didn't notice the cruiser at all, but Officer Grant noticed everything. He flipped on the siren, and for the first time that morning, Karen froze. The blare of the siren cut through the morning air like a warning shot, echoing between the quiet rows of houses. The school bus slowed. Kids pressed their faces to the windows. Parents stopped mid-step on sidewalks. Even Mr. Daniels peeked in his rearview mirror with a calm, relieved exhale. But Karen did not react calmly. At first, she assumed the siren must be for someone else, not her. Not the neighborhood's safety supervisor. She glanced around wildly. "Finally!" she yelled. "They're coming to stop the bus!" Officer Grant's cruiser moved closer, lights flashing, siren pulsing. He hit the loudspeaker. "Silver SUV, pull over." Karen blinked, hard. "Me," she mouthed silently, pointing at her chest. The officer repeated, "Silver SUV, you pull over now." There was no confusion anymore. Karen's jaw fell open in disbelief, but she complied, swerving to the side of the road in a series of jerky, panicked motions. The bus pulled up 20 feet ahead and stopped as well, its red lights blinking softly. Parents gathered at a safe distance, watching like it was a live morning drama. Officer Grant approached with slow, steady steps. Karen rolled down her window, already flustered, hair frizzed from all her yelling. "Officer! Thank goodness you're here," she blurted. "This bus, this man, he's been speeding, endangering children. I've been documenting the whole thing." Officer Grant held up his hand. "Ma'am, license and registration," Karen sputtered. "What? But did you not see? I was performing a civic duty." "Ma'am," he repeated, tone firm, "license and registration." Karen fumbled through her purse, muttering, "Unbelievable. I try to help, and this is what happens." Behind her, the bus door hissed open. Mr. Daniels stepped out, calm as ever. Officer Grant nodded in his direction. "Everything all right with your driving this morning?" Mr. Daniels smiled politely. 17 miles per hour the whole way, officer. Same as always." The kids on the bus shouted from inside. "He wasn't speeding." Karen almost hit a mailbox. "She scared my little brother." Karen snapped her head toward them. "That is not true!" "I was protecting all of you." Officer Grant turned back to her. "Ma'am, I observed you tailgating, filming while driving, and performing an unsafe pass. And that turn you took? Reckless, extremely." Karen's face drained of color. But I was helping!" The officer sighed. "Ma'am, you're the danger here, not the bus." Silence stretched. Even the birds seemed to pause. Karen's video, still recording, captured every second. Officer Grant reached for his clipboard. And Karen realized her morning crusade was about to end very differently than she imagined. Karen's hands trembled as Officer Grant began writing on his clipboard, each stroke of his pen sounding louder in her imagination than the siren itself. She leaned out of her window desperately. "Officer, please. There must be some misunderstanding. I was trying to stop a speeding bus." Officer Grant didn't pause. "Ma'am, the only person driving dangerously this morning was you." The words hit her like a brick. Behind the bus windows, kids watched with wide eyes. A few whispered excitedly. Parents filmed from a distance, capturing the moment that would undoubtedly make the neighborhood. Group chat explode. Karen attempted a weak laugh. "Surely you're exaggerating. I mean, I was just following him." Officer Grant raised an eyebrow, at a distance of less than 1 car length, while yelling and recording, and attempting to pass him on a residential road. Karen gulped. Mr. Daniels, still standing outside the bus, folded his arms politely. "She's been doing this all week, officer. Today was just the most dramatic." A collective murmur rippled through the parents. Apparently, this wasn't the first chapter of Karen's imaginary crusade, just the first one that ended with police lights. Karen's voice rose again, frantic. "But I saw him going too fast. I know what speeding looks like." Officer Grant nodded slowly. "And I have bus camera footage, speed logs, and your own video." He pointed to her still recording phone. "That clearly show the opposite." She looked down at her screen. A bright red 0017 muff from the bus's rear safety sign flashed clearly in her footage. Her face turned the shade of a ripe tomato. Officer Grant finally tore the paper from his pad. "Ma'am, I'm issuing citations for reckless driving, unsafe following distance, distracted driving, and attempted illegal passing in a school zone." Karen gasped as the stack of tickets was handed over. "This is ridiculous. I refuse to accept this." "You don't have to accept it," the officer replied calmly. "But you will sign it." Karen crossed her arms dramatically. "No." The officer took a deep breath. "Ma'am, refusing to sign means I am required to—" He didn't finish the sentence before Karen snatched the pen. "Fine." She scribbled her signature so aggressively the paper nearly tore. Meanwhile, Mr. Daniels returned to his bus, giving the officer a respectful nod. "Thank you, sir." Officer Grant smiled. "You're good to continue your route." As the bus pulled away, kids waved at the officer, and a few waved at Karen, though with a mixture of confusion and amusement. Karen sat frozen in her SUV, staring down at her tickets, her heroic fantasy crumbling into dust. The officer stepped back, giving her one final piece of advice. Ma'am, next time you're concerned about a school bus, call the transportation office. Do not chase it. Karen swallowed her pride, put the car in drive, and rolled away slowly, very slowly, at exactly 10 miles per hour. For the first time all morning, she obeyed the speed limit. If you enjoyed this crazy HOA Karen story, make sure to hit subscribe, smash that like button, and drop a comment telling us what you would do if Karen showed up in your neighborhood.